Candy wanted more from life. She tried to run from her fate once, but she barely made it home alive. Now, when the call comes, she obeys without question. It's her only option. Candy was all Yuki had left, and she needed her sister in one piece. Spending time with Yuki, and moments like these, everything felt easy, safe. Her sister's company was the only peace she had. This wasn't who Candy was. It's who they made her. She did what she had to survive. The gang held her life in their hands, and there was no escaping. This isn't the life she wanted. She never dreamed she'd become a criminal. She used to have a dream of being a DJ, playing music and feeling free. But that dream was buried beneath the weight of survival. Everything felt hopeless. Until Mateo. For a moment, she almost lets herself believe. Maybe, just maybe, she could live a normal life again. Almost. Sometimes Candy felt like being happy and having a normal life was only a fictional fairy tale. Remembering what her life was like before it was consumed with the darkness was harder by the day. Mateo had taken his brother on a camping trip that weekend. Candy wouldn't be seeing him, but he was still in her mind. She couldn't find the right words, so the text never made it to him. When she wasn't roaming the streets at night, Candy lost herself in her music. It was the only piece left of her life she once dreamed of, but her obligations still lingered, haunting the edges of her thoughts. She wanted to check in on Mateo, but didn't want to disturb his good time with his brother. As she deleted the text, her phone buzzed. It was like he had read her mind. Their conversation flowed as easily as ever. He shared stories from the camping trip, making her laugh. And then he asked her on a date. She hesitated. Was it safe to let him into her world? But her heart was too smitten to say no. Overwhelmed with joy, she ran to tell Yuki about the date. Was this really happening? For the first time in so long, things felt normal, hopeful. The camping trip had been exactly what Mateo needed, a chance to unwind and focus on his brother. But something else lingered in his thoughts. Candy. He had texted her a few times during the trip, and with each message, anticipation grew. A date was on the horizon, and Mateo could hardly wait. But right now, he needed to pack and clean the cabin. Back in the city, work wasn't quite the distraction it usually was. The countdown to seeing Candy again had begun. Every text exchanged throughout the day made it harder to concentrate on work, but Mateo pushed through and did his thing. After the normal bedtime routine at home, he went to bed with a sense of excitement. Tomorrow wasn't just any day, it was the day. The beach was perfect, just like he hoped. Warm sand, clear water, and the peaceful sounds of the waves rolling in. It was the ideal setting for their day together. They started off with a drink. Nothing fancy, just enough to loosen up and enjoy the moment. But quickly, they really started to enjoy the conversation. They sat near the shore, feet sandy, the conversation light but meaningful. Every word seemed to bring them closer. Onlookers would swear that they had hearts in their eyes. And in that moment, everything was perfect. There was no past, no future, just two people enjoying a day where for once the world seemed simple. They played in the sand like kids, building castles and letting their guard down. It wasn't just a date, it was magic. Their feelings swelled like the waves. They splashed and talked and kissed, breathing each other and the salty air in. After a perfect day at the beach, Mateo knew it was time for the next step. He wasn't nervous. Everything had been falling into place so naturally. Tonight, he was introducing Candy to Sebastian. The first thing Sebastian said, "You're way too pretty to be talking to my boring brother." They all laughed. The ice was instantly broken. Naturally, Sebastian challenged Candy to a round of video games. She won him over pretty quickly. Dinner was filled with light-hearted conversation and easy laughter. It felt like a family. A new kind of family. One that was still forming, but already felt just right. Once Sebastian was asleep, they couldn't keep their hands off each other as usual. But tonight wasn't just about passion. As they moved closer, it felt deeper, more intimate. Everything about it was slow and meaningful. As they lay in each other's arms, Mateo couldn't stop himself from thinking about how perfect the day had been. Everything had felt so natural, so right. And before he could even think about it, the words spilled out. "I'm falling for you." It came out quietly, but with more weight than he'd ever spoken with before. Candy smiled, her eyes soft and full of emotion. "I feel the same way," she admitted, her voice equally tender. In that moment, nothing else mattered. They fell asleep in each other's arms, happy, content, and knowing that for the first time, they were both in the same place, ready to fall together. On the other line was her boss, or at least that's what she called him. In reality, he controlled her fate, her freedom. They needed her tonight. A job had to be done, and she was their lookout. If she said no, there would be consequences, ones she couldn't afford. Mateo heard her voice, low and hushed. Confusion clouded his mind. Who was she talking to? Why in secret? Candy could see it, the suspicion in his eyes. But how could she explain? How could she tell him the truth without pulling him into the dangerous world she was trapped in? Why was she talking to another man late at night? Why did it feel like she was hiding something? Candy knew what she had to do. She had to leave before things got worse, before she pulled him into her mess. Mateo didn't know what hurt more, the thought of Candy keeping secrets, or the fear that what they had wasn't real. With a heavy heart, she turned to leave, her mind screaming at her to stay, but her reality didn't leave her a choice. He begged her to stay, to talk to him, but Candy couldn't. She was protecting him the only way she knew how. Mateo didn't know what just happened. All he knew was that the woman he loved was gone, and his heart broke with every step she took away from him.